So the poem that we're going to study is A Tiger in the Zoo. So before we actually start reading the poem and start discussing what is there in the poem, let us first discuss what you understand by the word tiger. Let's discuss when you see a tiger, where did you see the tiger first? Or had you ever been to uh, what is that sanctuary that's in Vidarbha? What is the name of that sanctuary? Have you ever been to any sanctuary wherein you actually could see a tiger? Okay. Have you seen a tiger? I said I want to see you. Okay. There are still certain students who did not switch on the camera. I guess they don't understand. I'm asking you all, have you seen the tiger? And if you have seen, you have to say yes. I'm not reading the comments now. I mean, physically, I mean, you went there. Of course, you all have seen the tiger, maybe in the television or somewhere. But then, have you ever visited any sanctuary, any zoo, and you actually could have a look at the tiger? I saw it for the first time last year in the month of December. In the month, not last year, December 2018, when I happened to go to in a zoo in Aurangabad, and I could see the tiger. And believe me, I was not interested, not at all. It didn't look like a tiger at all. So let's basically, when you think of a tiger, what thought comes to your mind? And of course, I want everybody to be participative. The poem is very easy, and the reason, if you ask yourself a question, if the poem is very easy, I mean, just say that even this poem should be for fifth and sixth standard. It's very easy. There are no many devices used. The list of the words used is very easy, and still, this poem has been prescribed. Why? Normally for CBSE students, and if it is a 10th standard, then I guess this poem comparatively is very, very easy. And still, this has been prescribed. Because sometimes learning the things just because they are difficult is not required. Sometimes the perspectives are more important than what is or what words are being used. So the poem is basically about two perspectives. So before we actually start discussing about it, let me hear. I'm asking a question to Sahil. Sahil, have you seen a tiger? I may ask you a question to anyone.
Yes, sir.
When?
Sir, in 2017, September,
Okay. Why so specific
at
about
Gwalior Zoo.
20? Where?
Gwalior Zoo.
Okay. So how was it? I know you were not looking at the tiger. You were looking at the
No,
people.
sir,
You were looking at the people who were looking at the tiger.
sir means he was very afraid, or we can say the nervous.
Yes, he was very afraid and he was very nervous because he saw Sahil. Okay, wonderful observation, Sahil. Yes, he must be very afraid and he must be very nervous as well. Okay, then I would like to ask a question to Yash. Yash,
Yes, sir.
yes, can you please come online? Or you are still wearing sando? Hello.
Hello.
Yash, can you please come online?
Sir, sound is not coming.
You are wearing sandal. I hate you for that. Okay, Himanshu.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Have you seen a tiger?
Yes, sir. In a Raipur Zoo,
Ah, Raipur. That's in uh,
Chhattisgarh.
Chhattisgarh, right? Okay, and what did you feel? What do you think?
Sir, tiger was so happy. And
Okay,
first, when I see the tiger, I was afraid.
okay.
And it was white tiger.
It was a white tiger. Okay. So now there are
Yes.
two contrasting opinions here. When Sahil saw a tiger, tiger was afraid of him. When Himanshu saw a tiger, Himanshu was afraid of him. Himanshu, next time do not go in front of Sahil, because if tiger is afraid of him, then maybe you should also be afraid of him. Okay, Janvi.
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you see? I mean, have you ever seen a tiger?
No.
Okay, I
No,
mean
sir.
you have seen only on a TV.
Yes.
Okay. So yes, let's discuss the qualities of a tiger. What do you think? What are the qualities, or what are the attributes of a tiger? What are his features? Tanisha,
Yes, sir.
what are his features? A tiger is, how does it look like? Or let's say,
So on his on tiger's skin there is some strips.
okay, it bears some, I guess, yellow and black stripes. Okay, I'd forgotten. Okay, to plug in and start the button. Okay, that's wonderful. Next,
Sir, one more point.
yes, Sahil.
Sir, he was not showing his interest in the visitors.
Okay. Yes, he was nervous, right. Kiran, any input? Okay. Yash, hello? Yash, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you able to listen to me?
Hello.
Are you able to listen to me? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, Yash. Am I audible?
Sorry, yes,
Hello?
sir.
Am I audible? Okay. Looks like he is at all
No,
not
sir.
interested. Okay. So, I haven't seen a tiger in a jungle, but then what I've learned, as far as, I mean, what I've learned through the books and through the TV channels, that the tiger is fierce and ferocious. And when he sees the uh, prey, or say some G, he pounces on it, and he eats it. One funny thing about tiger is, do you know the tigers have their territories decided? Do you know that the tigers have the territories? Does someone know? Let's say this is the jungle, and in this jungle, this part belongs to a particular tiger. Does anybody know? This
Yes,
part, I
sir.
mean, some half part belongs to a particular tiger. Yeah, okay. So, uh, do you know how tigers decide their territory? You read this in your fourth or fifth standard book. I'm very sure. If the Yeah, you must have read this in your fourth or fifth standard. Tigers actually decide their territory, just like our farm has a border. Our farm has a let's say the borders. Our country, our state has the borders. Our district has uh, a border. Similarly, the tiger decides his territory, and then you know, they also have a border. And if some other tiger enters the other's territory, then there is a fight between tigers as well. Do you know this? आपको तो बस इतना ही पता है कि झुंड में तो सुअर आता है और शेर हमेशा अकेला आता है. Yes, Sahil, very good. You know, the tigers, does anybody know how do they define their borders, or should I tell? Okay. Because it's a very common thing. Maybe you're not telling it because it's very funny, but tigers decide their borders. I mean, they urinate, they pee, and thus they basically create territories. And the other tiger actually can smell it, and he can feel that after this line he should not go. I mean, he should not go beyond that line, not after, beyond that line. So this is how tigers actually define their territories. But we're not talking about that here. We're talking. I'll just read the poem. Yes, the tiger in the jungle is ferocious. He's fires. He is the king. Is he the king? No, lion is the king. But then tiger is someone who every animal is afraid of. He runs very fast. And if someone is very brave, very, let's say, fires, he is often compared with the tiger. For example, if Sahil goes in a jungle and then he comes back with 2 or 3, let's say, rabbits, and in that jungle there were foxes, there were, let's say, bears, tigers, and lions, and he comes back, then I may say Sahil is a tiger because he went bravely inside the jungle and he came back. Okay, so these are certain qualities. Let's understand now. Let me read the poem first. Okay. I hope each of you is able to see. The poem that we are going to study is A Tiger in the Zoo. Now this journey, studying this poem would be basically, you would be able to see many images and many pictures. And I have made it a point that you understand each and everything from the picture. That's the reason I cancelled the lecture for the 9th standard, because I wanted some good pictures. So we are basically studying a poem called A Tiger in the Zoo. And I do not need to tell because you are the 10th standard students, and you all know what the zoo means or what a zoo means. So we are basically studying a poem called Tiger in the Zoo, and let me read a poem. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet range. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the waterhole where plum deer pass. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. But he is locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes and the brilliant stars. So this is a poem that we are going to study. Almost each and every word. Almost. There are a couple of words which either you may not have come across or you may have forgotten their meaning, but almost each and every word is easy. The poem is easily written. There are no many devices, and that's why it's very easy to understand. But basically, the reason you are expected to study this poem because you should actually be able to feel the difference between the tiger in the zoo and the tiger in the jungle. And let me tell you, you all have been locked inside the houses, so you can actually feel what a tiger in the zoo would feel like. He is also locked. And this is very unnatural for all human beings. That we human beings often want to go out. We have to go to school, we have to go to office, and even if we stay inside a house for about 2 or 3 hours, we start feeling bored. We used to start feeling bored. But today we are left with no other option except sitting in the houses. So today you actually can feel what a tiger will feel, what a tiger must be feeling when he is inside the zoo or when he is inside the cage. Because you all are, we all are inside the cage today. We all are wanting to go out. We all are wanting to meet our friends. We all are wanting to have some snacks. We all are wanting to have some pani puri at Nandurbar Chowpuli. And still, we are not able to do it because we are caged. We are inside our houses. We are not free. Let's start with the first stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. So the tiger has been personified here as he. Normally we say he to human beings, but here the poet has ensured, the poet has called tiger as he. Normally we were taught when we were small children that if it's an animal, then you should actually call it as it. But no, the poets and the authors take poetic liberty and they call it, they often call the animals as he. So he stalks in his vivid stripes. He stalks. You all know what a stalking is. Normally, now people have started talking about certain things very freely, very clearly, and that's why stalking is basically following someone. So here we can take the meaning that he stalks in his vivid, but then the following someone is not in a good manner. Most often, the word stalking comes to be used when some boy follows or some man follows a woman. Then we say he's stalking, and it is considered to be a negative thing. It's not a good thing. So he is stalking in his white stripes the few steps of his cage. So when you see a cage, or even if you are locked in a house, and even if you start to, even if you decide to walk, you will actually be able to, walk only for 8 or 9 steps, max to max 15 steps if the length of your house is very big, if it's very lengthy. Similarly, if the tiger is walking inside a cage, that means he'll be able to take only a few steps of his cage. So he stalks in his vivid stripes. So he is basically stalking. He is following his steps, or let's say he is just walking inside the cage in his vivid stripes. How are his stripes? Very vivid. Although you are using a mobile screen, but still you can actually see vividly how a tiger looks like. You can see that these are yellow, and then he is colored yellow, and then you can see the black stripes on it. And although the screen is very small, but still you are able to see vividly. That's what vivid is. Vivid is very clearly. So he is walking in his vivid stripes, and he is walking a few steps of his cage. And of course he will be able to walk only for a few steps only, because it's a cage. It is bordered from all the sides. That means if he is in a jungle, he can take as many steps as he wants, because the jungle is very big. But now he is caged, and that's why he will be able to take only a few steps. on pads of velvet quilt. Now what are the pads? The pads are basically, these are the claws. If you see my, are you able to see the cursor? Or let's say this is a tiger's hand. You can call this as, the Singham does like this only. So let's say this is the paw of Singham. So these are basically the claws. And this is the paw. This is the pad. So this pad is like a velvet. That means it's very soft. It's quite soft. So if you compare, or if you remember what a velvet is like, velvet is very soft. We may have velvet cushions at our houses, or some 15 years back. That time you were very small. Your mom must have bought a velvet cloth for you. It was very soft. So how are his paws? How are his pads? Very soft, and they are velvety. That velvet is basically, the meaning of velvet here is soft. So they are very soft, and is quite rage, and is walking inside the cage in a quiet rage. Rage is basically anger. He is very angry. Why? Because it's very unnatural. He is an animal who is very ferocious, who is very, let's say, frightening, fierce, very brave, and he is locked inside a cage. And that's why he is in a great anger. Next. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plum deer pass. So let's see the first image. He should be lurking in a shadow. Now lurk. Lurk is basically, let's say what lurk is, when we basically want something and we don't want people to know it. For example, I had come across this word when I was in 12th. I may have come across, but the last instance that I remember as to when I came across this word, there was a story. I don't remember the name of the story, but it was in 12th, and we also had, just like you had supplementary section, we had a rapid reading section. And in the second or third chapter, there was this sentence: bandits lurked in the area. I remember clearly. Bandits lurked in the area. Bandits, thieves. So basically, lurking is basically maybe walking, maybe staying somewhere, but we lurk for a purpose. We stay in the area for a purpose. Particularly, let's say if a tiger lurks, then of course he may be wanting to hunt a deer or he may be wanting to hunt some animal. So that's where we basically can use the word called lurk. So he should be lurking in a shadow. That means the first stanza actually speaks about a tiger in the zoo. However, the second stanza that we are studying now, that basically speaks about the tiger in the jungle. And if the tiger is in the jungle, then he should be lurking in a shadow. He lurks in a shadow. Now when I say jungle, you actually can make the distinction. A zoo is 2, 5, 6, 7 acres of land, 10 acres of land, 20 acres of land. A jungle, it's 100 acres of land. And who roams in that jungle? Tiger, without any confinements. So if the tiger is in a jungle, he should be lurking in a shadow. He should be walking in a shadow. He should be staying somewhere there in a shadow. Sliding through long grass. How? Now look at the second image. If you see, sliding through the long grass. So this is basically his sliding. He will just take a small turn just to pass through the grass. That is sliding. So he should be lurking in if a tiger is in a jungle, what he does, he lurks in a shadow. He slides through a long grass. Now you can actually have the idea what sliding is. Near the water hole, where now look at the fourth image now, not the third one, where water hole. So I have actually shown a lake. We will consider it as a water hole. So where does he slide through the long grass? Near the water hole, where plump deer pass. Where a plump deer pass. Now you can actually have an idea. He is lurking because he may be wanting to hunt the deer. Now he should be lurking in the shadow, sliding through the grass, long grass, near the water hole where plum deer pass. Where plum deer pass. Now what is plum? Plump is basically, let's say in Marathi we can say it as gol matol in Hindi or Marathi. So fleshy. Let's understand the meaning of plump here is fleshy. One who is fleshy, उसी को हम गोल मटोल बोलते हैं. So where a plump deer pass, what? Fleshy. So that's what a tiger would do. That's what a tiger would do if he is in a jungle. But if he is in a cage, what he will do? He will just stalk the bars, he will take a few steps, and he will be very angry for having been put behind the bars. We'll move to the next stanza. Now this stanza also refers to the tiger in the jungle. He should be snarling around houses. Now I know what's, I guess you know what snarling is. So when he makes some noise, right? That's basically snarling. No, you should know, because you must have seen in the movies how the tiger snarls. So he should be snarling around the houses. And when the tiger snarls, people are afraid. We all are afraid. Just imagine, we all are somewhere in the jungles of Dondaicha, and we are on a trip and we saw a tiger, and then looking at us he snarls, and then what you will do? You will take selfies, right? No, you will, the moment he snarls, you'll start running, because when he snarls, it's very threatening, it's very frightening. So when the tiger is in the jungle, he snarls around the houses at the jungle's edge. So at the jungle's edge, there is a village, let's say. There are the houses. And at the jungle's edge, he snarls. He makes the noise that the tigers are supposed to make. Where? At the So if the tiger is in the zoo, he should be snarling around houses. So at the edge of the jungle, when the villages start, or when the let's say when the residential area starts, so at the edge of the jungle, he snarls. He should be snarling. So if the tiger, if he is not in the zoo and if he is in the jungle, then what he should be doing? He should be snarling at jungle's edge, baring his white fangs. Bearing. Can someone tell me the meaning of the word bear?
To show.
Yes, the meaning of bear is to show. And what would he do? What he should be doing? He should be baring his white fangs. Now what are the fangs? Somebody just doodled on the fangs. So these are, if you see the cursor, these are the fangs. Right? These are the fangs. So he should be showing his fangs and his claws, and these are the claws. These are the claws. So when he is in the jungle, or when he is free, he is not in the zoo and he is in the jungle, what a tiger should be doing, or what a tiger does, he basically snarls around the houses at the jungle's edge, and then he shows them his fangs and his claws, and thus he terrorizes the village. That means he creates fear among the villagers. He frightens the villagers. Terrorizing is basically frightening, but there is a difference. Terrorizing that comes with more effect. So he terrorizes, or he should be terrorizing the villages, the people. How? By bearing his white flanks, and by bearing his claws, and by snarling around the houses at the jungle's edge. Let's move ahead. Now we are talking about the tiger in the zoo. But now he is locked in a concrete cell. You can see bars. You can see the iron bars. So he is locked in a concrete cell. The meaning of cell is prison. So he is locked in a concrete cell. His strength behind bars, and all his strength. Which strength? Snarling, pouncing, hunting, terrorizing the village, using his claws and fangs, showing his claws and fangs. His all this strength is barred behind the doors because he is locked in a concrete cell, stalking the length of his age. And what he does, he stalks the length of his cage. Now, when I say the length of the cage, let's see. This is the cage. This is the cage, and this is the tiger. So he stalks. That means he put his claws on the lengthy bars, and two legs down, two legs up, and he does it as much as as long as his first two legs reach. That is what we'll understand here by the word stalking the bars. So he is locked in a concrete cell, and he cannot show the strength that he is supposed to show in a jungle, because now he is in a zoo. And what he does in a zoo, he stalks the length of the cage. He stalks the length of the cage, and he ignores visitors. He has lost interest in visitors. Why does he ignore? Because he is not leading his natural life. He's upset, he's nervous, he's unhappy, he's angry. Because a tiger should be in a jungle and he is in a zoo. And that's why he's ignoring visitors. And that's not his job. Tiger is not a showpiece animal. And that's why he is ignoring visitors. He is at all not interested in visitors, because he is not leading his life the way he should lead his life. Again, we are talking about the same tiger who is in the zoo. He hears the last voice at night. And the last voice that he hears is of the patrolling cars. So when the cars patrol inside the zoo, just to make sure that everything is in place, just to make sure that things are better, just to make sure that the animals aren't fighting, just to make sure that the animals haven't come out of stage. So he hears the last voice that he hears at night in the zoo, inside the zoo, is of the patrolling cars. And then he stares with brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. And then what does he do? He looks above at the stars with his brilliant eyes. Why brilliant? You must have seen in any movies, when the tiger comes out of the darkness, the very first thing that we see is his eyes. Do you remember? Yes, because his eyes are brilliant, they shine. And then after he listens the voice of the patrolling cars, that was the last voice that he hears, and then he looks above at the sky, at the brilliant stars with his brilliant eyes. And this is the tiger in the zoo. If you understood, I'd like to see your thumbs up. That's wonderful. Very good. So this was the first poem that we studied. Uh, what the poem is about? The poem is basically a comparison between a tiger in the zoo and a tiger in the uh, jungle. When tiger is in the jungle, he leads his normal life. He hunts. He roams wherever he likes. He terrorizes people. He shows them his fangs. He shows them his claws. But when he is in the zoo, he only takes a few steps because he is caged. He stalks the bars. He stalks the length of the cell. He ignores the visitors because he is upset. And the tiger is, the poet is basically trying to put forth the piteous condition of a tiger in the zoo. When he says that he ignores visitors, or when he says he is angry, he is quite in a rage, the poet basically wants to say, how come anyone be liked caged when his nature is to roam free? So he basically shows the unhappy side of a tiger in the zoo, comparing him with the tiger in the jungle. The tiger in the zoo is pitiable, he is agonized, he is angry. The tiger in the jungle is free. He can do whatever he likes. He is able to lead his normal life. That's the difference. Okay. Anything you want to say? We have some time left. Tomorrow I'll finish the chapter, history. And after tomorrow there will be a test on history and English as well. I mean, of course, the test will be on the remaining topics of history, not on the full chapter. The ones that we've finished recently. Maybe I guess chapter point number 4, 5 and 6. And I'm very sure the test will exceed 50 marks. It may go beyond 60 marks, 50 marks, because there are many factual questions here. I mean, one word or two word answers. Okay. May I see you all?
Sir, we have to write oral comprehension check.
Yes, you have to write it. Okay. Now I want to see you all. And then you will take 10 minutes
Sir?
to switch on your camera. Yes, Tanisha?
So,
Yeah.
so we have to write the question answers in fair notebook.
Yes, that's what I'm going to tell you now. Yes, you have to write the question answers. But all I want is, if you take the help from internet, you can take. But when you write something, do not commit any mistake, or ensure that you do not commit any mistakes. Spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, punctuation mistakes, anything. And even if you copy the answer from the net, but it should be copied such a way that it should become yours. ऐसे नहीं कि जब वो आंसर को देखोगे, जब वो क्वेश्चन आएगा, तब तुम्हें याद आएगा what is the answer. No, that's not how it should work. And I'm not actually telling you to go on internet and to find the answer, but sometimes you may feel a need to go on internet and to find the answer. But remember, everything on internet is not correct. Sometimes, because, and when it comes to poem, you may find a different perspective. Some may talk about something different, and that's not wrong in case of poem. So go according to the questions. That is one thing. So when
So
you write
can we
the
write in rough book?
yes, you have to write the answers in notebook only.
Sir,
No, in rough book because we don't have notebooks right now.
Okay, then do you have pages?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we have rough books.
Yes, sir.
You have?
Rough books.
Yes, you have to write those in rough books because anyway when the school starts, you have to write the same answers again. So you have to write them in rough notebooks, and believe me, today you have time. So if you take time, if you start writing, see, for other teachers, you may have written down the notes for say for 2 or 3 chapters. For me, it's okay if you go slow. All I want is you should learn how to write the answer. If you learn that, you will pace up, and I guess you won't. I mean, writing an answer is a skill. You must learn it. So you should actually think if you are writing a short answer. I mean, let's say in 3 or 2 lines, or let's say if you are writing a long answer for about 100 words or 200 words, make it a point.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Sahil.
Sir, if we have new books, then we should write in.
You can write it in new books as well, but when the school starts, you may have, I'm not sure. अगर अभी अच्छा लिखा हो तब मैं बोलूंगा नहीं, लेकिन पता नहीं स्कूल का तब क्या रूल होता है. If you are asked to write the notes again, then you may have to write the answers again. But again, that's the fun. Writing the answer again is the fun. So don't just shrink the responsibility. You may write it in the fresh notebooks, you may write it in the rough notebook. The objective of writing the answers is to learn how to write an answer. So when you're writing, let's say for 100, you're supposed to write an answer in 100 words or in a few lines. Now there are certain rules when you write, and when I say, many people say कि यार कौन सा इनको आर्टिकल्स लिखने हैं या कौन से इनको आंसर तो लिखने ही है या फिर लेकिन मुझे एक बात पता है, अगर लिखना है तो आज से अगर हम ढंग से लिखने की आदत डाल लेना तो आगे बहुत फायदे होते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा. So when you start writing, see to that. Once again, I'll take the name of, let's say, roll number 828 and roll number 830. 828 is absent today, I guess. Yes. So when you write an answer, it should not be like each line. Of course, every line should be meaningful, but at the same time, if it is a long answer, then one line should lead to the other and the other should lead to the next. That is called story building, and this happens when you are very much accustomed to the use of conjunctions, and we are able to use conjunctions two ways. Now let me tell you, you all find it very difficult, almost everyone. Have you studied clauses? Noun clause, adverb clause, this clause, interrogative clause, blah 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 clause. Have you studied clauses? Am I asking something wrong? Do you know what clauses are? I'm not going to ask you any question. You have to say yes or no. Have you studied clauses in your 8th or 9th? Just show me thumbs up if you have studied. Almost everyone has studied. Everyone. It's just that you don't remember. Why you don't remember? Those clauses are difficult. Sushti, do you know clauses?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to identify them?
Maybe if you can give example.
Okay. Kiran, do you know clauses? Okay. Are you able to identify them? Okay. Uh, do you know you use clauses when you speak? Okay. Let's not talk about identification because identifying clauses are often considered to be very difficult. What I'm trying to say is I see at the clauses as bringing two ideas or two separate sentences which actually can stand as separate meaningful sentences, but the ability to bring these two or three separate ideas being spoken in separate standalone sentences is what clauses are. This is how I see at the clauses. I'm not talking about identifying them. I'm talking about being able to bring together, and then we form complex sentences, we form compound sentences. And many of the times when somebody is asked to form the complex sentences in a question paper, they fail. But technically, or I would say practically, they speak these complex sentences without realizing that they are speaking complex sentences. My point is, when you write an answer, you should write it such a way that there should be, let's say, once it should basically a weaving thing, knitting thing. One sentence leading to the other sentence leading to the next one. I'm again and again trying to accentuating all this is because when you write this way, it feels like reading, and the checker reads your sentence. And if you do this from today onwards, and it's not very difficult, it's not rather very easy as well, but if you start doing it today, maybe after a few months you'll be able to do it quite well. And of course, you don't have to give other extra efforts. Yeah, you have to do that only when you write answers. That's it. I'm not asking you to read some book and then write an article. I'm basically asking you to write such a way when you are actually writing answers for the subjects that you are supposed to study. So when you do this, okay, Bhumi, I want. Who is your favorite author?
My favorite author is Jay Shetty.
Have you? Oh, Jay Shetty. My God, I love his voice. I
Yes,
love
sir.
his language and his voice.
Sir,
If
his
he,
pronunciations are like
wonderful, wonderful. If he were a girl, I would have asked him to marry me. Okay, jokes apart, I like him so much. I like him so much. Jay Shetty. The way he speaks, the way he pronounces words, the selection of words is just amazing. Normally,
yes,
I
sir.
don't like the people who motivate. Although most often I'm considered to be a motivational English trainer, but I don't like other people who motivate because I personally feel that motivation is more about a style. And if why he motivates me, for his language, for his way of speaking, not for leading the life, because I have my own way to lead the life, and I hate if somebody uh, you know mm, motivates one to lead the life. That way I am killing my own idea and I am following him. That's the reason I basically don't go with the motivational videos. But if he has a style, I die for it. Thank you, thank you. It has been many days, many months, I would say, I stopped listening to him. But yes, Jay Shetty is, when his eyes are so beautiful, right?
Yes,
Bhumi?
sir. They are so deep.
Just beautiful. And his voice is sonorous. If you don't know the meaning of sonorous, then basically sonorous is a word which is the ultimate word to praise one's voice, to admire one's voice. You must go and listen to him. Jay Shetty. He is a video blogger as well. Yes, a wonderful writer.
Sir,
Why?
his podcasts are amazing.
Just amazing. Right. Why do you like him? And why don't you like Chetan Bhagat?
Sir, because I prefer only listening him, and from the time I know him, I have never gone to some other writer or some motivational speaker.
Okay. I love him for his speech, the way he speaks. I particularly like his selection of words. He basically makes justice to the language. Okay. Nikita, do you know any writer that you like? No, just don't tell me the writer कि आपने गलती से कोई बुक पढ़ा और आपने बोल दिया. नहीं, पसंद है तो बोलो, नहीं तो मत बोलो. Let's be. और निकिता मैं आपको, मैं सबको बोल रहा हूँ. Okay. Now voluntarily, you have to tell me the author that you like.
Sir, I like Amish Tripathi.
Amish Tripathi. Okay. I don't know who I like. I like Yuval Noah Harari. I would say Devdatta Patnaik. Why, there are books. There are books and we all have different writers who we like. We don't like, I have not read Amish Tripathi, but Shushti likes Amish Tripathi, Bhumi likes Jay Shetty, maybe let's say Sharwari may like someone, Kiran may like someone. One day you may like me if I write some novel or some story. Let's hope for that. And why? Because the way he writes, that appeals to our heart. The way he, the other quality of the authors is, the best quality of an author is his writing. We're reading his novel and actually we are able to visualize. The pictures are standing in front of us. That is the best writing. And when does it happen? When he basically develops a story such a way, and when he adds the picturesque quality to it. He describes things such a way that the image stands. This is basically called picturesque. I mean, if we say that someone's novel is very picturesque, then we're actually able to visualize what he's talking about. And this is not very difficult, believe me. Earlier, it's very difficult for you, for me as well. I'm not saying, even for me, it's very difficult because I may be a good speaker. I may be the one who writes well, but I don't write the way authors should written. Or maybe, let's say I may be writing, but I need to read a lot, because writing is not something wherein you read a book and then you start writing. When you write your own sentences, you cannot copy someone else's. So when you write an answer, this habit of writing answers nicely is something that is going to help you. तो मैं अभी आपको ऑथर बनाना पढ़ा रहा हूँ क्या? नहीं, I'm not telling you. कोई ये आंसर मत निकालो, पाटिल सर कुछ भी बोल रहे हैं यार. हम क्या ऑथर? अरे ऑथर नहीं बनना है आपको आपके आंसर्स लिखने हैं और आपको आपके आंसर्स कुछ इस तरीके से लिखने हैं. आपके पास वक्त है, सीख जाओ. अगर अब मैं आपको बोल दूं, जिसको खुद का राइट करना आता है वो एक बार भी पढ़े ना, वो अच्छा आंसर प्रोड्यूस कर पाता है. देन देयर इज नो नीड टू to just ratify. No need to ratify when you are able to develop this ability. और ये ability तब develop होती है जब आपके पास vocab भी होता है, सब कुछ ठीक होता है, और ऐसे भी रीडिंग बढ़े तो कुछ पढ़ा एक बार तो याद रह जाता है, and then you are just able to produce your own passages. अगर ये ability अभी develop हो जाती है तो जब आप आपके डिग्रीज में जाओगे, मतलब मान लो if you go for engineering, if you go for medical, तो आपका अंडरस्टैंडिंग बहुत अच्छा रहेगा, आपका आंसरिंग टेक्निक बहुत अच्छा रहेगा. इसलिए आज से आपको स्टार्ट करना है. एंड आई वुड एक्चुअली से कि अगर आप पहले आज जो मैंने पोएम और चैप्टर पढ़ाया है, तो आपको ना जो लेंदी सेंटेंसेस है, लेंदी पैराग्राफ्स, पहले तो आपको शॉर्ट आंसर्स करने हैं, बाकी छोड़ दो, और बाद में बिग आंसर्स करने हैं, फिलहाल उतना ही करना है. और आज आपने शॉर्ट आंसर लिखा ना, खुद होके लिखो, नेट का हेल्प लो, खुद होके लिखो, और बाद में लिख के भूल जाओ, फिर उसको कल देखो. थोड़ा ग्रामर का भी यूज करना. और मैंने बोला व्हेन आई सेड कंजंक्शंस, तो कंजंक्शंस का दे हेल्प अस टू जॉइन द सेंटेंसेस. So join the sentences naturally. There should be a natural bond between the sentences. One conjunct, two, a sentence leading to the other. तो ये अगर आ जाता, हाँ, now you will say कि सर ये हर सब्जेक्ट में पॉसिबल नहीं. Yes, this is not possible in every subject. But हर सब्जेक्ट में कहीं ना कहीं ये बात अपने आप आ जाएगी. And if you develop this ability, चैलेंज नहीं रहेगा आपको. और अगर आज ये करते हो तो जब बच्चे 12th को डिफिकल्ट बोलते हैं, आपके लिए डिफिकल्ट नहीं रहेगा. क्योंकि स्किल्स बहुत ही ज्यादा मैटर करते हैं, और यही सही एज है स्किल्स को डेवलप करने का. और लकीली कोरोना है तो और अच्छा वक्त है, और लकीली मनोहर पाटिल सर आपको वक्त दे रहे हैं, क्योंकि आंसर्स तो आपको तब भी लिखने हैं, लेकिन आज अगर आप थोड़ा वक्त लेते हो, लिखना सीख जाते हो, तो मैं ये नहीं कहूंगा कि आप 3 महीने में चेतन भगत बन जाओगे. आई हेट चेतन भगत बेसिकली. या फिर आप कोई अच्छे ऑथर बन जाओगे, लेकिन आपके आंसर्स आपको गलत जा रहे हैं. अगर आपको ये भी फीलिंग आती है कि यहाँ पे कुछ गलत है, स्टैंड अलोन सेंटेंसेस करेक्ट है लेकिन कुछ गलत है, तो मान लीजिए जब आपको आपकी गलती फाइंड आउट आप करने लगो, यू आर लर्निंग. एंड इफ यू डू दिस नाउ, शायद शर्वरी, भूमि, इनके लिए थोड़ा अलग अप्रोच हो सकता है, बिकॉज उनका थोड़ा रीडिंग ज्यादा है. जो दूसरे गर्ल्स और बॉयज है उनके लिए थोड़ा डिफिकल्टी हो सकता है, लेवल अलग अलग होती है. तो वक्त लो, क्या फर्क पड़ता है. हम कंपेयर तो थोड़ी ना कर रहे, हम कंपेयर नहीं कर रहे. वेल लर्निंग. और कंपेयर करना है तो ऐसे करो कि मान लो अगर मैं आपका कल ये होता, बैचमेट होता, अगर कॉल डिस्कनेक्ट होता है 5 मिनट में, तो बस आगे चल के अगर मैं शायद यही बात करने वाला हूँ, तो जिसको इंटरेस्ट है वही रिकनेक्ट करेगा, बाकी ने नहीं किया तो भी चलेगा. इट्स नॉट कंपल्शन. आगे वाला सेक्शन, या अगर नहीं चाहिए तो बस आखिरी मिनट में मैं पूछूंगा, आप लोग बोल देना कि सर लेट्स नॉट कनेक्ट, एंड फ्रीली बोलना, मुझे गुस्सा नहीं आएगा. अगर मैं आपके साथ बैचमेट होता तो शायद मुझे भूमि, संजना, सृष्टि और मुझे बाकी स्टूडेंट्स का अभी इतना ये पता नहीं है. मैं इन स्टूडेंट का नाम ये ले रहा हूँ, मतलब ये नहीं कि बाकी स्टूडेंट्स, मुझे शायद मैं आपको इतनी अच्छी तरीके से नहीं जान रहा हूँ, तो इसीलिए मैं आपका नाम नहीं ले पा रहा हूँ. शायद आपके पास भी, निकिता के पास भी कोई ना कोई क्वालिटीज हो सकती है, तनिषा के पास हो सकती है, लेट्स से कृष्णा के पास हो सकती है. तो व्हेन आई विल गेट टू नो तब मुझे पता चलेगा. तो मैं भले आपके साथ कॉम्पीट करूं, लेकिन कंपेयर करूं. जेलसी भी अच्छी बात होती है एक ढंग तक, जब अगर मुझे लगे यार सृष्टि कितना अच्छा लिखती है, मैंने भी ऐसे लिखना चाहिए. That's good. That's an amusing jealousy. That's productive jealousy. जिस दिन वो if that turns in hatred, तो सृष्टि का कुछ होगा नहीं. मैं हेट करने में ही सब कुछ वक्त बिता दूंगा. तो अगर आपको लगता है कि किसी का राइटिंग अच्छा है तो प्रेज हर, डोंट कॉम्पीट. Okay, no, sorry. I mean, don't hate. Praise her. Praise him. Learn. बुक से ही सारी लर्निंग होती ना, तो कुछ लोग ऐसे भी है कि जिन्होंने बहुत कुछ पढ़ा है लेकिन रिफ्लेक्ट कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, क्योंकि बुक, यस रीडिंग बुक इज इंपॉर्टेंट, बट अलॉन्ग विद द बुक अगर हम एनवायरनमेंट से सीखे तो स्ट्रेस कम होता है और लर्निंग ज्यादा होती है। और आपके लिए इन्वायरमेंट आप खुद हो, आपका इन्वायरमेंट आप खुद हो। आप 10 कम से कम रोज 6 घंटे एक साथ बैठते हो, तो आप खुद, आपका इन्वायरमेंट आप खुद हो, उसको कैसे बनाना है ये आपके ऊपर डिपेंड है। इन्वायरमेंट से क्या सीखना है ये आपके ऊपर डिपेंड है। इन्वायरमेंट को पोल्यूट करना है ये आपके ऊपर डिपेंड है। जब हम इन्वायरमेंट की बात करते हैं कि यार इन्वायरमेंट नहीं है, क्या है इन्वायरमेंट? इन्वायरमेंट इज वी। आई एम योर इन्वायरमेंट एंड यू आर माई इन्वायरमेंट। And if I have to retain my compatibility, I'll always ensure that I build an environment which will help me. And yes, it helped me. It helps me. I learn a great deal. I'll learn a great deal from you. So I guess, and these things are not